Hello. This is diary entry number 1 because we're trying something new. Specifically on this channel, we are trying to just be a little bit more ad hoc, random, ranty, and let it be more of a journal entry than anything else. And then we will create other channels that will house a little bit more of our serious content, something that's more produced, something that is more researched and thorough. Here is my house of fun, and I'm hoping that I can constantly, that I can always have that space, right? Making sure that the mic, and if you can't see the mic is hidden in my hair, bitch. Hey! Oh, I hope you can hear this well. If not, I don't even know where to start with this reflection, with this rant, whatever you want to call it. But I have been gathering a lot of myself. I came back from a month-long trip in November of last year, 2024, where I went to London, I went to Turkey, Morocco, then Spain, in that order. It taught me a lot about myself. I was extraordinarily uncomfortable at times, very comfortable many times, but exploring different places for an entire month, getting out of your comfort zone, being in touch with different cultures, it shows you who you are in comparison to that. The first thing that went off was the proximal bubble that we have here in America is much larger than it is in the US, right? Well, excuse me. Yeah, America, US. I can't even talk. The proximal bubble, right, our personal space bubble, is so much bigger than it is in the EU, in the UK, forget about it. Turkey, Morocco, that shit, there is no proximal bubble. There is no personal space. And so people get close to you or close enough to you where it is a little shocking, especially coming from New York City, where we avoid each other at all costs. It's densely populated here. It's almost as if it's a kindness, right, for us to be able to not look at each other too much, or if we are in close proximity to each other, like obligatory train proximity, right? We do our best to distance ourselves energetically. Now, that is different, specifically with my experience, that is different abroad. And it's so fucking appalling to be walking down the street and have people just like literally breathe down your shoulder. You have to become okay with it, because what are you going to do? You're going to fight everybody about it? Hell no. You're trying to enjoy your vacation. You're trying to explore a different place. And part of that, which I urge anyone who has not traveled enough in their life, that you have to let go of your preconceptions, or at least be aware of them when you are traveling, so that you are trying to appreciate a different way of thinking, a different way of being, of carrying yourself. It tells you a lot about yourself if you are willing to listen and to, reel back your ego a little bit. And that's exactly what happened to me on my travels. I'm trying to make sure that we are mindful of time, because I have to go to sleep. We are at 4 minutes, just about. And for me, learning that I have so many constrictions with the way that I carry and navigate the world, it blew my fucking mind. Because, you think that you're free, that you're liberated because you have a queer identity, which I do. And then you get caught up in that idea of freedom, in that idea of liberty, and you stop looking for the ways that you constrict yourself, that you restrain yourself, that you mask, right? And ultimately, what that tells you is that you are not who you think you are. And those things that you have held up as an image of who you are, as a projection of who you think people need you to be, of who you thought you needed to be, right? You watch that crumble. For me, traveling is very healing. Traveling allows me to expand my sense of self. It allows me to continue to shape and mold the foundations of independence and reliance on the self, right? You make your own decisions, specifically in the way that I travel, right? Like, I like to have a lot of freedom. I don't necessarily like to have an itinerary. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, like, for example, I guess we'll take Morocco, for example, right? We're gonna go to the largest Medina in Morocco, in Fez, and I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna go to this restaurant. I'm gonna go see these people. I'm gonna go see these monuments. Like, I don't have that set schedule or itinerary. I don't like to travel like that. If you hear any chomping, it's because Mercury decided to chomp on her bone as I'm speaking. Man. But, whew. What do you want to learn about yourself is the point, I guess, right? What do you want to learn about yourself? Do you want to learn anything about yourself? One of the best ways to do it, at least for me, in my opinion, and I would recommend anybody to do it, is to travel. Travel on your own if you can do it, if you can afford it, if you feel brave and courageous enough to do it, do it. Go to places that here in the States people say are dangerous. You know, I told my family that I was going to take this huge trip across Europe and go to Northern Africa, and there wasn't encouragement per se. There was definitely like, oh, aren't those places dangerous? Those thoughts or those like comments, please be careful or stay safe out there. You know that you can't be gay over there. And my experience in these countries was very different. It's amazing how much the West, the United States specifically, demonizes Arab or Islamic countries in such a way that the narrative is so ingrained into us that we don't think that it's a bias, that we think that we are defending ourselves against it, against danger. And you can walk the streets of Turkey and feel safe. You could walk the streets of Morocco and feel safe. Of course, don't be a stupid bitch. Anywhere you go, there's gonna be a risk. But it's not what people are saying it is, right? That you are unsafe, that you can be prosecuted. I'm sure all those things are true, but those things are true here back home, back in the States. And so I will not limit myself in the traveling that I do, because there's an idea or a false sense of danger, especially when it's dangerous to live and breathe in this country. But if you are open enough, if you are willing to listen, if you are willing to go with the flow, even though I struggle with that last part, I like things to be very regimented. I like a lot of discipline. I like to have things planned. I would say somewhat controlled, but at the end of the day, I'm a Sag, so I'm happy to let go of control if I need it. Oh man, but if you are open, if you're willing to listen, if you are willing to let down your pride and your ego, you will find that ultimately you are a much more different person than you thought you were. And you will lose parts of yourself that no longer serve you, truly. If you are open, you will lose parts of yourself that stop you and keep you stagnant, and to be happy to let that go, to finally let those things go, those aspects of yourself go, is such a relief. You also remember parts of yourself that you have forgotten about because you're so stuck in the routine and the daily movement of it all. Some of the things that I lost about myself was this just incessant need for everything, specifically in my home, to be organized, to be clean every single time. And I would stop a task just to make sure that an area or a corner was picked up and wasn't cluttered. I come back home, the first 2 weeks, what happened those first 2 weeks? I let my place get messy. There was clothes everywhere. My luggage was everywhere. I brought gifts for people. I put them in a box and I kept taking things out. I let myself have those moments of messiness because it showed me that it's okay. It's okay that you don't have it's okay that you don't have the energy nor the motivation to keep up the appearance of something that is organized or clean in your home. And it's okay. It's your home. You're allowed to be messy if you want to be. But I didn't let myself do that. So in many ways, I have lost a lot of my anal retentiveness. Some of the things that I found, though, and rediscovered, is the belief in myself. I met beautiful, wonderful people on my travels, and I hope to foster and nourish those relationships continuously, right? Because they were so impactful in the short amount of time that I had out of my everyday, that it reminded me of who I was. It reminded me that no, I am not the sum of all my mistakes and the sum of all of my fuck ups, right? It reminded me that I am a light, that I shine, that I'm an incredible human being, right? Again, that doesn't mean that I can't be accountable, that I can't be wrong, that I won't ever make another mistake again, or that my mistakes or my faults are excusable or justifiable because I have a bright spirit, or a brave smile. I smiled at someone in Morocco and she was beautiful. Gorgeous girl, gorgeous curly hair. Very attractive. She said, "What a brave smile you have." So not only did I lose parts of myself, I discovered some too. I rediscovered some. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't get out of my comfort zone and visit a different place, a foreign land, try to speak a different language unsuccessfully. Turkish is very hard. And so is Arabic. But I've always had a knack for getting myself into moments and situations where I am going to grow. Inevitably, I'm going to grow. I'm not someone who cares for stagnancy. Is that a word? Don't know. I don't care to stay the same. I don't care to stay in my neat little box that I was given when I was a kid and play in this box and make this box my identity. And if you say that this box is not me, then I'm threatened by you and I get aggressive and violent. That's never been me. I've never wanted this box. I could never fit in that box. I am the sum of the wholeness of me, right? And I needed that reminder. I needed the reminder that even through my transgressions, even through my sins, I grew up in the church. So you already know how that goes. Luckily not Catholic, because the Catholics are taught to love suffering, in my opinion. But regardless of my sins, regardless of my transgressions, I deserve and I am worthy of the confidence, of the self-assuredness that I have always cultivated. Now, there was a point where it was getting a little bit out of hand and out of balance, right? And nothing out of balance is great. Nothing that isn't in moderation or gives you a nuanced perspective on yourself and the life that you live and how you're interacting with your life, it's never good. So there was a point where I was getting too in my head and I could never do no wrong, and it was very Luciferian, right? In its spiritual aspect, very false light. And when you hurt somebody and you're like me, you want to be accountable. You want to take the responsibility. And of course, deeply sorry. I get so deeply sorry. I get so I am such a horrible person. I get in that mood. So much so and so deeply that I forget to remove myself, process it, and move on. And remember that I am actually pretty amazing. That you're not only a fucking asshole. That you're not only someone who is self-centered, of course. I mean, look at me. But you are someone who cares. You are someone who is neighborly, who maybe I'm not friendly, but I am very kind, you know. And it's so nice to remember that. So I can't wait for new adventures in the future. I don't know what my life is going to look like in a couple months from now. It feels like I'm in a very transformative period of my life, and it's going to take me to so many different places. I'm going to face different aspects of myself. I'm sure it's going to be challenging. I'm sure there's going to be conflict within me. I'm sure there's going to be conflict within my relationship and with the way that I'm integrating an understanding of what I want to do moving forward. I'm sure all of that's going to be part of it. But I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for that transformation, for that metamorphosis. And I can't wait. I can't wait. So, Abel, this is our first diary entry. I can't wait for us to sit down randomly and talk to ourselves a little bit and have a little bit more of a conversation like we used to have. But yeah, my name is Abel, and I hope you got a little bit of something from this reflection. Ciao.